to avoid the Super Bowl hangover. That is reserved for the Super Bowl runner-up. But we're giving a little creative license here.
Yes. What this is great leadership by Jalen Hurts.
Correct. Perfect.
That's what this is. I mean, he didn't even wear a Super Bowl ring to their ring ceremony or whatever it was. So he's moving on. And Nick, this is how it should be. You've had months to celebrate now, before training camp. You had your time to gloat and celebrate and be honored and all that. Now it's time to get back to it. And so I love this from the Eagles.
Real quick, shout out Zach Berman, WAER Syracuse legend.
Oh,
Used
nice.
to do radio with him there.
Wow.
And a great writer for years and years covering the Eagles. So yeah, I don't think they are going to have what Pat Riley coined in the NBA, the disease of me. You know what I mean? Because you won, you need more. In part because they made the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and most of the guys got their contracts are. You know what I mean? It's not new contracts for these guys. Jalen got paid 2 years ago. AJ and Devontae got paid a year ago. You know what I mean? So that's already baked in. Saquon obviously had been paid before and then just got paid again. So that part's not a problem. My question with Philly is the same thing that we have really been arguing about for 7 months, and I think we're going to get to see it, which is when they are not able to simply run all over everyone all year long, which maybe they will be able to, but that would, if they are, then they join the annals of the greatest running teams in the history of football if you have that type of success year over year. And again, maybe they will. The likelihood is they aren't. And then we saw winning does not cure their wide receivers' frustrations. We saw that last year. They were on a super long winning streak, and A.J. Brown was pissed. So if it's a little tougher this year, are they a little better in the passing game? That is what I've been saying all offseason. For them to repeat, they are going to have to be a better passing team. Not because you can't win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, but because I don't think they are going to have the best defense in football and a running game that going into the final game of the year, we're like, are they going to break the all-time record? Like, I think that's like a totally fair and reasonable.
When he's been challenged to throw the ball more, at least last year, he's done well, especially in the playoffs.
I mean, in the first two playoff games, threw for I think less than 150 yards in both games. They didn't need to, and he made clutch throws in those two games. They still wasn't even a Super Bowl or NFC Championship game high volume. I'm just curious what it'll look.
Moving the goalpost. Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl, a literal Super Bowl, not throwing the ball 35 times, but he made clutch throws, and that's all that matters. But Jalen Hurts, not all that matters. Interesting. We'll also just reduce the whole idea that he played a game in a literal blizzard. And he made amazing throws against the Green Bay Packers. Gosh, just watch the game. The receivers were blanketed. I've already been over this so many times. And you know what? It is a new year, so I'm not going to rehash that Super Bowl run. But it just continues to be such an obnoxious take to doubt that Jalen Hurts or this offense could evolve if need be. And the last thing I will say about last year's Super Bowl, because Nick's saying, oh, winning doesn't cure, the fact that the receivers were furious. Devontae Smith was in tears to Jalen Hurts. He couldn't even look at him. He was so overwhelmed with emotion. And Jalen Hurts was essentially it was like a father and a son in that moment. Jalen Hurts was pretty much like, I got you, bro. I got you, man. I'm here for you. It was one of the best moments and one of the best leadership moments. And you see Jalen Hurts. I got the chills just, repeating it right here. Jalen Hurts wasn't like, I told you we were going to be great. I told you. He didn't do any of that. He just let Devontae have his emotional moment. And like I said, Devontae literally couldn't even make eye contact with him because he was just so overcome with emotion. And Jalen Hurts was like, it's all good, man. Pretty much like, you don't got to say nothing. I got it. We got some catching up to do. I know this season was a little different than in years past, but we made it to the end, man. We made it to the end. We got there. And after you win a Super Bowl and Jalen Hurts wins the MVP, there is unification and belief in that locker room. I mean, when Jalen Hurts throws that beautiful ball, the dagger, to Devontae, and the O-line's like, man, I love when they doubt you. Like, everyone's aware of the conversations. And that locker room is united. That's the difference. That's what breaks up why there's no unification with Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Okay? Why there's been lack of unification across locker rooms all across the NFL. But you don't have that with the Philadelphia Eagles. Because that's the culture that they built and the belief and understanding who Jalen Hurts is. So to keep trying to make this all about Jalen Hurts and can he throw, can he not? I mean, my gosh. How many times can we just keep going in circles here? It's kind of ridiculous. And I loved everything that I heard out of the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. And it's exactly what I have been saying. Go figure. About how last year was last year. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's funny because I got ripped all year last year when I was talking about, like, I don't care what happens in 22. I don't care what happens in 23. And people are like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And it's like the Eagles are like, it does not matter what happened in 24. It does not matter. We are focused on today. And not only does Jalen Hurts get a lot of credit for that, but Nick Sirianni, what are we just not going to say anything about Nick Sirianni? Like, that's bootleg, man. That's a bunch of nonsense. That is. That's a bunch of nonsense. Nick Sirianni has made that, like, the promise of this year, of last year's nothing. We are talking about this year. We're not owed anything. And that is a message that starts at the very top with Nick Sirianni. And he's done that beautifully. And better believe if it was Sean McVay, if it was Andy Reid, if it was Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, Shanahan, everybody would be praising the leadership of them. But with Sirianni, we just don't even mention it at all, which is bizarre. And that's why it's a great 1-2 punch with Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, because Sirianni's obviously the leader. He's the head coach. And Jalen Hurts is like the representation of that. He's Sirianni's words in action. Yeah, how's it going? And it's perfect. And it's authentic. That's the difference too. It's authentic. And that's what I love about Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts can, sometimes he made a comment. I forget exactly what it was, but he dropped one of his lines and someone was like, oh, this is so forced. He's so corny. And I was reading the comments and I was just thinking to myself, it took all my energy to not respond because I was like, I'm not. Because it wasn't towards me. It was on, somewhere else, some other platform. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's corny if it's not authentic, if it's not real. But it's 100% authentic and real. And it's not done in a way where it's like, I need to act this way. It's because it's authentic. Having the failure of your Super Bowl on your phone, we know how much we look at our phones. We look at our phones all day, every day. And Jalen Hurts is going to that's not pretending. That's not pretending. That's not doing what you think you're supposed to do. That's a man who's confident in the actions that he's taking. And in the beginning, I think there was a sense that maybe Nick Sirianni wasn't authentic and can kind of trip up over his words. And the more you listen to him, the more he talks, the more you realize, no, this is also authenticity. And I say this so frequently. A locker room, a culture craves off of authenticity. Craves off of authenticity. One of the biggest ways you lose a locker room is when the coach is talking and you can just get the sense, this is not real. This is nonsense. This is coach speak. This is you being generic. This is you just trying to get by. It's hard. Things crumble very quickly. Very quickly. I'm reminded of Mike McCarthy doing the groovy moment or something, whatever it was when he was doing. I remember it was on Hard Knocks. And it was mojo moment or something. And that was him trying to be come on, we're going to have a loose, practice. Come on, we're having fun here. And it's that's not authentic. I don't know what that is, but it's not authentic at all. And how great was that culture with that Dallas Cowboys team? Not so good. Not so good. And the Eagles, who have preached for years now, all about business, all about business, all about business, focus, focus, focus. That's exactly what we've seen over the years. We actually see it in practice. They can bring troubled players who immediately fall in line because it's all about business. Immediately. They can bring in rookies or again, players who were seen as busts or failures or just not reaching their potential. Boom, they're immediately there. And Mekhi Becton talking about how when he got brought into Philly, how he was treated like you would have never had any idea that I wasn't drafted by this team. Because again, teams treat you differently. Not only the order that you're drafted in terms of round, but then also like, are you actually homegrown or not? And to hear Mekhi Becton be like, you couldn't, they treated me like I was, first overall pick here. That's focus. That's culture. Those things matter. Those things fundamentally matter. They didn't have a hangover when they lost in devastating fashion in 22 into 23. Their season didn't unfold exactly how they had it written up, but they proved to be a pretty great, pretty resilient team, albeit their greatness misleading. I shouldn't say great. They were a pretty good team in 23, despite having the messes. So for me, it's like, trust Philly, avoid Super Bowl hangover. And Nick is like, oh, it's about Jalen Hurts. It's like, to me, I put it on coaching. The offensive coordinating hire, promotion, however we want to phrase it, that's what it comes down to. 100% for me. No one can say that I'm not consistent. Coaching matters to me. That's what I put it on. I'm not out here saying, oh, Jalen Hurts could do it with any coordinator. And that's not how I feel about any quarterback. So that to me is what it comes down to. Was the coordinating hire correct? Yes or no? And I really feel like Eagles fans should share a lot of that sentiment as well, because they got the ultimate front row seat. Super Bowl, not Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And coaching was the massive game changer of that. There was obviously some player changes, but coaching was massive. If you had the exact same roster in 24, but with the same coaches in 23, you do not win the Super Bowl. Not a single doubt in my mind. You do not win the Super Bowl. Not a single doubt in my mind. So to me, that's where all eyes are on. Mr. OC Philadelphia Eagles. What you got? Who are you? How special are you? How great are you? How comfortable are you? How confident are you? That's what I'm looking forward to see. That's where I'm going to be hyper focused on. Not, can Jalen Hurts throw the ball? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you trust that they will avoid the Super Bowl hangover? And do you think it's all about Jalen Hurts? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.